Tattoos are everywhere. From tiny wrist designs to full back pieces, body art has gone from niche to mainstream in just a few decades. But as tattoos have become more popular, scientists have started asking a difficult question. Could ink under the skin come with hidden health risks? A new study from Denmark and Finland is raising eyebrows and concerns about a possible link between tattoos and cancer. Using data from twins, researchers were able to rule out many of the usual factors like genetics and upbringing, and what they found is enough to make anyone with ink take notice. In this video, we're breaking down the research, the science of tattoo ink, what it could mean for long-term health, and why you might want to think twice before your next session in the tattoo chair. The twin study, published in July 2025 in the European Journal of Cancer Research, analyzed health records from more than 2,600 twins in Denmark and Finland. Twins are particularly valuable in medical research because they allow scientists to control for both genetic and environmental influences. That means, if one twin has tattoos and the other doesn't, any major differences in disease risk are more likely to be connected to the tattoos themselves. And here's what the study found. Twins with tattoos were 1.6 times more likely to develop skin cancer than their identical siblings without tattoos. Even more concerning, the risk shot up to 3 times higher in those whose tattoos were larger than the size of a palm. That's a striking result, especially in Denmark, a country that already reports some of the highest skin cancer rates in the world. Researchers stress that while tattoos may not directly cause cancer, the data suggests they could be an additional risk factor worth taking seriously. So how might tattoos be linked to cancer? Let's look at the biology. Tattoo ink isn't just colored liquid. It's a cocktail of pigments, preservatives, and often heavy metals like lead, nickel, and chromium. And here's the catch. Tattoo inks are poorly regulated in most parts of the world. In fact, a 2022 report by the European Chemicals Agency found that many inks contain substances known to cause DNA damage or disrupt hormones. When a tattoo needle punctures the skin, it delivers this ink deep into the dermis, where the immune system immediately responds. White blood cells rush in to trap the foreign particles, but because the pigments are too large to be broken down, they stay there essentially forever. Over time, some of these particles don't just sit in the skin. Studies using electron microscopy have shown that nanoparticles from tattoo ink can travel through the bloodstream and accumulate in lymph nodes, the immune system's filtering stations. Researchers from Germany's Federal Institute for Risk Assessment reported in scientific reports in 2017 that tattoo pigment particles, including toxic heavy metals, were found in the lymph nodes of tattooed individuals. Why does this matter? Because chronic exposure to these foreign particles can create low-grade inflammation that never fully resolves. And chronic inflammation is one of the well-established drivers of cancer development. Beyond inflammation, scientists are exploring another mechanism. The constant immune stimulation caused by tattoo pigments could interfere with normal immune surveillance, the body's way of detecting and destroying abnormal or precancerous cells. If immune function is even slightly impaired over years or decades, it could create opportunities for cancer cells to grow unchecked. The concern doesn't stop with skin cancer either. Because tattoo pigments can accumulate in lymph nodes, researchers are also looking into potential links with lymphoma, a cancer of the lymphatic system. Although evidence here is still preliminary, some epidemiological studies have suggested slightly elevated rates of lymphoma among heavily tattooed populations. So, while we don't yet have definitive proof, the biological plausibility is strong, and that's what makes the new twin study so concerning. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean everyone with tattoos is destined to get cancer. The researchers themselves emphasize that the findings show an association, not direct causation. But it does mean tattoos may add another layer of risk that we can't afford to ignore. One key factor could be the size of the tattoo. In the twin study, small tattoos didn't seem to carry the same level of risk as large ones. When tattoos covered areas bigger than a palm, cancer risk was up to 3 times higher. That makes sense when you consider the sheer amount of ink involved. More pigment particles, more immune system stress, and more potential for toxins to circulate throughout the body. Another question is whether different colors of ink might carry different risks. Black ink, for example, often contains carbon black, which can be contaminated with polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs compounds that have been linked to DNA mutations and cancer. Brightly colored inks may contain other problematic chemicals. Red inks often include mercury sulfide, and some greens and blues contain copper salts. The European Union has already banned certain pigments like blue 15 and green 7 because of concerns about toxicity, but many of these are still widely used in other countries. And then there's the issue of long-term accumulation. Tattoo pigments don't just stay put. Over time, they can break down into smaller particles, especially when exposed to sunlight or laser treatments. A 2019 study in Nature Communications showed that UV light can cause pigments to degrade into potentially harmful byproducts. This means the risks could actually increase as tattoos age, not decrease. So, what can you do if you already have tattoos? Or if you're thinking of getting one? First, it's important not to panic. Having tattoos does not mean you will develop cancer, but it does mean you should be more mindful about monitoring your skin health. Dermatologists recommend that tattooed individuals pay close attention to any changes in their skin, especially in or around tattooed areas. If you notice new growths, unusual moles, or changes in the color or texture of your tattooed skin, get it checked by a doctor. Early detection makes a huge difference in outcomes for skin cancers like melanoma. Second, choose your tattoo parlor carefully. Make sure the artist uses inks that comply with safety regulations, like those in the European Union's REACH framework, which restricts certain hazardous chemicals. Unfortunately, in many countries, tattoo inks are largely unregulated, so you may have to do your own research about which brands are safer. Third, think about the location and size of your tattoo. Smaller designs placed in areas that don't get a lot of sun exposure may pose less risk than large, heavily pigmented pieces. And remember that the more ink you have, the greater the potential for your immune system to be overwhelmed by foreign particles. Finally, maintain an overall lifestyle that supports your immune system and reduces cancer risk. That means eating an anti-inflammatory diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and omega-3 fats, staying physically active, managing stress, and avoiding excessive alcohol and smoking. These habits won't cancel out the risks of tattoo ink, but they can help your body stay resilient. Tattoos have been part of human culture for thousands of years, from tribal traditions to modern self-expression. But today's inks are not the natural pigments used in the past. They're industrial chemicals being injected directly into the skin. And while the science is still evolving, this new twin study should serve as a wake-up call. It doesn't mean you should regret your tattoos, and it doesn't mean you can't get one in the future. But it does mean we need more awareness, stronger regulation of tattoo inks, and more long-term studies to truly understand the health risks. At the end of the day, it's about informed choice. If you love tattoos, enjoy them, but know the facts, take precautions, and prioritize your health. Thanks for watching Addicted to Health. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more science-backed health insights.